In this presentation, we will set up jobs and items. This is going to be a little bit different than the prior practice problem because as we set up the items for materials, we will be tracking those materials using QuickBooks, and therefore the items setup will be slightly different than the prior practice problem. We will be doing this in QuickBooks Pro, QuickBooks Desktop. Here we are in our practice problem 2. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the view dropdown and the open windows list. The first thing we're going to do is set up the jobs and the customer that they will apply to. We're going to go to the customer center up top. We're going to go to the customer center. Then we're going to set up the one customer as we did last time, 3 jobs related to that customer. We're going to set up the customer first. In the dropdown, we're going to go to a new customer. Within the new customer, we're just going to say, call him Smith customer. And this is just going to be a generic customer name where we can apply the jobs to. We're then going to say OK. Then I'm going to assign 3 jobs to that customer. Note, you could have 3 different customers with the jobs and whatnot, but also note that you could have one customer with multiple jobs related to them. So we're going to say the Smith customer, we're going to select the new customer job and add the job. Now all we're going to do on the job is add the job number, which is going to be 14. You may want some more details such as the address or something like that if it's a construction job in your jobs, but it will be applied to this customer. I'm just going to say job 14. Then I'm going to go to the job status or the info. Within the status section, we're going to say this is an in-progress job. So this one is in progress. Okay. Then I'm going to set the second job. Now to do so, I need to be back on the customer, not on the job. So I'm on customer. Then up top, new customer and job. We're going to add the job. This one is just simply going to be called job 15. Job 15. And we're going to put in the job info that this is going to be the job status of in progress once again. In progress job. And then we're going to say OK. Let's do this again. We're going to go back up to Smith customer. We're going to go to the job or the new customer and job dropdown. We're going to add the job. And this job is going to be job 16. Going to go back down to the job info. I'm going to say that this job is in progress. So there we have our jobs. I'm going to say OK. So now we have our customer set up the 3 jobs. Again, note the 3 jobs could be applied to different customers. The same kind of setup would be the case. We would just have a different customer with the sub jobs related to that particular customer. I'm going to close this window out. Now I'm going to set up the inventory, the parts. I'm going to set up the items, which last time we saw, we go to the lists up top and we go to the item lists. However, we're also going to turn on the tracking for the materials, tracking of inventory by unit of the materials. To do that, we need to set up the inventory tracking or turn on inventory tracking. To do that, we're going to go to the Edit dropdown. We're going to go down to the Preferences tab, Edit, then Preferences. We're going to be in the Inventory and Tracking on the left-hand side, our items and inventory. And then up top, we want to be in the Company Preferences tab. And then we want to check this box off, which is the Inventory and Purchase Orders are active. So we need that on. Then I'm going to go back over here and say OK. It'll then say we need to close all the windows, and we're going to say that's okay. Do what you got to do. Close all the windows. Then I'm going to open the windows back up, including the home page by going to the company up top. And then the home page, there is our home page. I'm going to maximize the home page on the right side. And then we are going to go into our item lists. So to get in the item lists, we go up to the lists up top. We go into the item lists. Here are our item lists. Nothing there so far. We're going to add our items. As we did with the last problem, we have 3 of them. We have the materials, labor, and overhead. That's what we're going to add. However, the materials, we're going to add them as an inventory part so that it will be tracked with inventory. So I'm going to minimize this. We're going to go back in. I'm going to go to the item drop down or item rise up. We're going to go into the new item. And the first item is not going to be a service item that'll be double-sided, but we're going to use the inventory part, the inventory part. And we have to use that so that it will be able to track the inventory using, I believe, the average weighted average method by units. It'll track the inventory. So then we're going to say that this is going to be the direct materials. Now note that you may have more specific names, obviously, if you're going to be using this feature. You're going to be wanting to be tracking the units of inventory for a very specific type of thing, so that when they're on hand, you can track that unit of inventory. If you don't have that specific unit inventory method to track, then it might be easier to use some other method, possibly outside of QuickBooks, to track the inventory and then basically just enter the transactions into the QuickBooks system. So this would be for something that we're going to be very specific on the units that we want to track within QuickBooks. So I'm going to call this the direct materials here and direct materials there. And then we have the cost, and I'm going to say the costs are going to be $1,000, and I'm going to standardize this at $1,000, and that's going to make it so that when we take a look here, everything's going to be divisible by 1,000 for our materials. So that's going to be our cost, and we'll see that's going to be a necessary field that we'll need in the future. This will make more sense as we go through the problem. That's going to be going to the cost of goods sold account. So that's going to cost of goods sold. The other side then on the income statement needs an income account. I'm simply going to call it income. We'll create the income account. So I'm going to call it income tab, and we're going to set up the income account. Setting that up. There we have it, and save and close. So let's say OK here. This is the first item we have set up. I'm going to say OK. I'm not going to enter the beginning balances for the items. I'm going to do that with the forms, basically, to enter those. Then I'm going to go to the items drop up again, or rise up. We're going to go to the new tab. Then we're going to create a service item for the second one. The service item is going to be now labor, and then we'll do overhead. So within the service item, we want to say this is going to be direct labor. Direct labor, we're going to select this to have it double-sided. So it's not an inventory part, but we're still basically forcing it to be this double-sided entry by having it by having that checkbox checked. And we're going to say direct labor is going to be our description. Not going to have any cost filled out this time. The expense then going once again to cost of goods sold. The other side is going to be going to income. So it's going to income. Now note this is different than our prior practice problem where we set this account up to be going to an asset account, other current asset, which was work in process or WIP. Now we're going to be expensing it directly to cost of goods sold. This is going to be the differentiating factor here. Then we're going to say next. Do this one more time, and we're going to set this up for the overhead. So factory overhead. And I'll copy that and paste it here. Once again, we're not going to have any cost. We're going to take this to cost of goods sold, the other side going to income. And then we're going to say, okay, we set up those items. Now they're set up for us. They're good to go. We haven't done anything in terms of transactions. There's nothing on the financial statements yet. We haven't entered the beginning balances. Next time, we're going to use this information in order to enter these beginning balances.